Hello, and welcome to Street Smart Travel. I'm Steve, and we have a rainy day here up in the Campo, up in Tulipe, Ecuador. Finally getting some rain. Rainy season was supposed to start about 2 weeks ago, officially. That's what my hosts were telling me, anyways, and finally we're getting a bit of rain. Very foggy, misty, cloudy up here, hence the hat, right? Bold fashion statement right there. Today, I want to talk about my budget for November 2024. And before I do, I will invite you to think about how much money did you spend last month, November 2024, for the entire month. For food, for lodging, entertainment, transportation, any memberships, like everything. Not to the penny, but just take a second and think, oh, okay, I have to pay this for this, and insurance on that, and this and that, and come up with a ballpark number, because I'm about to blow your mind, or at least I blew mine when I looked at how little I spent last month. Before last month, my best month was December of last year. I was at a farm a little bit north of here, and I tracked all my expenses. I've been doing this for years. Like every time I spend money, I have a spreadsheet and I enter it into at the end of the month. I take a look, what did I spend money on? Do I need to keep spending money on these things? Could I spend money on other things or spend less here or whatever? And I have simplified my life as I'm traveling down here on the road. I have two small backpacks and a carry-on. I don't rent anything down here. I don't own anything down here. I don't have an apartment. I don't have any utility bills. I don't have a mortgage. Nothing. I just have literally the stuff that I carry around with me in my backpacks. And because of that, and because I also figured out I could volunteer, I don't have to pay for room and board with cash. There's still a value exchange that goes on there. I exchange my skills and my time in exchange for full room and board. And up here on the farm, there's nowhere to spend money. And to get to town is at least 40 minutes. Like to get to the road is about 25 minutes in a 4x4. And then another 15-ish minutes to get down to the town. And even there's not a lot you could spend on. Like there's really almost nothing there. So for November 2024, drum roll please, I spent a grand total of $42.57 US. $42.57 US, which comes out to $59.59 Canadian for those Canucks amongst you. And take a second and think about how much money you spent in November 2024 on whatever it is you spent your money on, and I'll bet it was more than that. Yeah, and like I said, that is by far the least amount of money I've spent on anything down here. I'll break it down a little bit. My cell bill, that's the only bill I have down here for the cell phone, is $12 a month for 12 gigs. $12 for 12 gigs. In Canada, I had a plan that was 3 gigs, and that was over 40 Canadian dollars, about 30 US dollars. So 2.5 times what I'm paying down here for something that does the exact same thing, and I get 4 times the gigs for that much less, right? 12 bucks. Insane. And that is literally the only bill that I have down here. What I spent money on in November was a bit of food and a day trip to Pacto to go to the waterfall in a town nearby. And the food that I buy, basically I buy meat pretty much every week. A pound of ground beef when you go to the market is anywhere between $2.50 to $3 US. If you go to the grocery store, it's probably closer to $4 if you get the high grade, and maybe $3.50 if you get the not high grade. And then some snacks and bread and stuff from the bakery, and that was pretty much my month. So I don't know that I can duplicate that. I'm sure it's possible, Not suggesting anybody try to do that. There's no way I could have got close to that living in Toronto. Impossible. I would spend more than that in a day easily. And another thing, the spreadsheet shows me the days I spent money. So there were 30 days in November, and I spent money on 5 days, including the cell phone bill. That's it. When I first came down here, the game was, how do I figure out a way that I don't have to pay money? So I spend no money for at least one day. And then I found volunteering, like, oh, okay, so I'm exchanging value. I'm exchanging my time and skills for room and board, but there's no money changing hands. And then it became, well, if I could do a day, and if I'm on the farm and there's literally nowhere to spend money, could I do a week? And I did a couple weeks in November where I didn't spend anything. And then I looked back over the month and went, yeah, that's about as bare bones as I can make it. I've stripped out all the non-essentials, and less than $43 for the month. That's what I have it at. $1.42 US per day, or $1.98 Canadian a day. So less than $2 Canadian a day for the month of November. To be fair, when I first came down here, I was renting Airbnbs and obviously having to pay for everything. I wasn't getting room and board anywhere. And the most expensive month I had was just over $476 US, which at the time was about 635 Canadian. And the next four most expensive months were in that range, 460, 450 US a month, or 620, 630 a month Canadian. But by volunteering and doing this in a very unconventional fashion, I can basically slash all my overhead. And money has always been the number one issue with everybody that I've met over the years traveling anywhere. Especially with the 20 and 30 somethings that were just coming out of school, didn't want to go into the workforce, wanted to see the world. Good for you. And they were always looking, how can I cut more costs? The reality is there's a limit to how much you can cut. But there's no limit to how much you can earn. And it's really easy to earn remotely. That's when I came down here for the first year and a half or so. I was working remotely, and then that opportunity went away. We parted ways, and that basically left me with no earned income. But I have a bunch of other income streams that I'd set up over the years, and I'll unpack those in another video. That and I don't even tap into that for my expenses down here. I have another couple investments down here that cover my expenses down here, and at $43 a month, you don't need to be making too much money. So all that to say, it's possible to travel not for free, but pretty close to it. The flights, that's always been my biggest expense. I don't know a way around that. I'm not taking a bus down here from Canada or a boat. That's insane. But there are travel deals, and if you can be flexible with your time, it's really easy to get cheap flights. Avianca is the carrier I've been using for most of my trips down here because I'm super not a fan of Air Canada. Avianca had what they called their black sale last week on Friday. Not Black Friday, black sale. Right? Try and do that in the West and see what happens. Oh, that's racist. You can't do that. I don't care what they call it. I looked at it and I booked a return flight from Quito, capital city down here, to YYZ or YYZ, Toronto International Airport, for under $450 Canadian return. It's usually a bit more than that. I think my last flight was $650 return. And if you go on Air Canada, it's over $1,600 return, so it's a big part of why I don't go to Air Canada. But the point is, the deals are out there, and if you can be flexible with your time, and if you can be flexible with what you need when you're on the road, you can travel for almost nothing. I don't know if setting a goal of having a $0 month is realistic, honestly. I'm not, well, I couldn't pull that off just for the cell phone, right, for that alone. So, $42.57 US, that's a pretty good month. And again, anybody can do this, right? And I'll be unpacking in other videos how I go about this. If you have any questions, drop it down in the comments, or any comments, drop them down there. Please drop a like if you made it this far. Looking forward to doing monthly budget reviews as I go forward. I can guarantee you December is going to be more than that because I'm taking off to the coast over Christmas and then heading down further south on the coast to do another volunteer gig down there for a bit, get back into the fun and sun. And because this is probably what the weather's going to look like here for the next multiple months. Rainy, cloudy, misty, cool. Yeah, not spending any money there. Where are you going to spend money? So with that, I will say, take a look at where you're spending your money. I've found it very helpful to track my expenses over the years. I'm sure you can find budget templates online for free. I just do my own because it's what I got used to. It shows you where you're spending money, and at the end of the month you go, yeah, I don't really need to spend money on that. I could spend less on that. I could cut that out entirely, and then take that cash and put it into investments. Put it into things that are going to generate cash flow, which is what I've been doing for decades, which is why I could retire at 51. Another story for another time. With that, I will say happy trails. See you out on the road.